in France and Germany, because there's quite an important anniversary today.
That's right. The French press is looking at their relationship status, and according to them, they're quite pessimistic. If they had been on Facebook, they would probably think it's complicated. Libération says that they have a relationship, a couple without any passion. And you see a photo there of Hollande and Merkel when they were meeting in Berlin yesterday. Now, Le Monde tries to see the cup a little bit more half full. They have a special edition today in collaboration with the newspaper in Munich, Süddeutsche Zeitung. They say that 50 years later, France and Germany is still united despite everything, because what they're celebrating is this 50-year anniversary of the Elysée Treaty, which is a friendship treaty they signed in 1963, a friendship treaty between the two former foes. So Le Monde has a cartoon that depicts the situation where you see there Charles de Gaulle and Konrad Adenauer, the chancellor at the time when they signed the treaty. They're looking there at François Hollande and Angela Merkel, who have their backs turned to each other. And in their editorial, Le Monde says it really calls on both France and Germany to once again find the momentum and the conviction that they had in 1963. It says that those people who think that Franco-German relations are not pertinent in 2013 are wrong. But it does point out that right now things are pretty bleak.
But that hasn't always been the case. Aujourd'hui en France is taking a trip through time to the beginning of those warming relations between the two.
That's right. Aujourd'hui en France says that it might be their golden anniversary, but France and Germany are very far away from true love. And you see there a barometer of Franco-German relations through time. Now, there was a time when there wasn't a cloud in the sky. That was back in 1994. You see a photo there of François Mitterrand and Helmut Kohl hand in hand in Verdun in 1994. So that epitomized Franco-German reunification. Sarkozy and Merkel had a little bit of a honeymoon back in 2011. They united during the crisis, but according to Aujourd'hui en France, since Hollande's election, there's just not that spark and magic anymore. It's more of a feeling of suspicion between the two countries.
Je ne sais quoi has gone, perhaps. But moving on, a lot of French papers are focusing on France's ongoing military operation in Mali, of course.
That's right. There's a cartoon in Libération that says that it's not a fair fight in Mali. And on the left there, you see an Islamist says 5 guns for each fighter. And then you see the Malian army, 1 gun for 5 fighters. So not very balanced there. It's on the front page of Le Figaro today. It says, La France se prépare à une guerre longue. So France is gearing up for a long war in Mali. According to Le Figaro, the government has made it very clear it has 2 goals. First of all, to win back all of Mali and eradicate terrorism. Also, to help the Malian government restore its sovereignty and train Malian soldiers to do so. So, according to Le Figaro, the government says it will stay there as long as it takes. In their editorial, Le Figaro says that this has raised fears in France that the country could get bogged down in the Sahel's quicksand, that Mali can turn into somewhat of an Afghanistan situation for France. Le Figaro says, don't jump to hasty conclusions, but it does point out that Hollande needs to be very clear about just what France's goals are in Mali.
And Libération has taken an interesting angle. They're looking at what the war would cost France.
That's right, and Libération says that the war in Mali is within France's budget. And it says that this is despite the fact that the French military is facing budget cuts. Now, it's unclear how long the war in Mali is going to last. Libération says the best scenario would be a few weeks. So it's unclear for now just how much it will cost. But one thing's for sure, and Libération says it won't cost as much as the French military operation in Libya. Now, in Libya, over a period of 7 months, France deployed more than 31 planes and 27 ships, including the aircraft carrier, the Charles de Gaulle, so a very expensive ship to put in the water. Now, in Mali, the equipment is a lot more modest. There are just a dozen fighter jets, about 2,500 troops on the ground, which isn't as much as other French military operations, such as in Ivory Coast. So, according to Libération, Mali is going to be a cheap war for France.
Some good news there, perhaps, then. And finally, the website Mediapart has got some quite surprising claims about former President Sarkozy's plans for the future.
That's right. Mediapart says that Sarkozy is planning on setting up an investment fund worth 1 billion euros in London. Now, this is quite surprising. He's doing a Depardieu. Now, he would be, according to Mediapart, wanting to set this up with a businessman named Alain Minc. Alain Minc answers to these allegations in Le Figaro today, and he says all this is a bunch of baloney. It's completely absurd to imagine that Sarkozy would ever move to London and therefore stop paying taxes in France. So Le Figaro points out that if Sarkozy were to do so, it would be the end of any kind of political career he could have again here in France. But it points out that it's one of these questions people keep asking: what is Sarkozy planning on doing now that he's not president anymore?
We are all agog. We'll have to wait and see. Thank you very much indeed, Florence, for that look at today's French newspapers. Well, still to come here on Live from Paris.